My dad always says to me, when you're talking about something, be positive. But in this regard about project-based learning, I think the best thing to do is to say what project-based learning isn't. And I think it's not, what project-based learning isn't is just a teacher talking in front of the class. What project-based learning isn't is project-oriented learning. Of course, if you grew up in California, you would know project-oriented learning by studying the missions that grew out in California in the 1600s. And you studied the missions for about 2 months, and then you went home on a Friday, and with sugar cubes you made a model of a mission. Or I grew up in Philadelphia, and I remember it was the bicentennial, and we studied what that meant, what the 200 years meant, and then we went home and we made a model of the Liberty Bell or something like that. Project-oriented learning is what people get confused. They think, I'm doing project-based learning, but in reality they're not. Project-oriented learning looks something like this. The teacher says, well, first I'm going to have the kids learn everything they need to know before they can start working. They're going to need to know the whole body of whatever we're studying. It could be biology, it could be history, it could be multimedia, it could be art. They could say first they have to do the color wheels, they have to draw 1,000 cubes, and they have to work on composition, lights and darks. But that's not project-based learning. That's getting all the basics down first. Then there's maybe a last-minute lesson because, you didn't know what you're going to teach that day. You were up late the night before. Maybe you throw a movie on that relates kind of to what you're talking about, but, it also gives you a good time, a break to catch up on grading papers. Maybe an unrelated one-day assignment because maybe you got off track, or maybe something really interesting happened in the news that day and you feel like, yeah, it's worth it to the kids to talk with an adult about this. Maybe you forgot to order supplies or you didn't get to purchase them yet. Maybe, you're going through the standards. You really want every kid to make sure, if nothing else, they've covered all the standards. You've read the standards out loud to the kids, you've explained what they are, and there you covered yourself. But in reality, all these things are for the teachers. They're not for the students. It's so you feel good that you've, at least been entertaining for an hour or 2 hours at our school where we work. And then about 2 weeks before the end of the semester, you say, all right, kids, we're going to do a project. And the project is oriented towards the things that the kids studied in class. And then they make the project. They don't really have enough time to edit it or revise it. And on exhibition night, you're there smiling, dressed up. You make all the kids wear their suits and their dresses, and they look great, and they show the projects that they've made. And while there might be some good science in it, if it's a science project, or even if it's an art project, there might be some really smart things in there. It's not project-based learning because the kids did not have to learn all these things to get the project done. The project didn't run the semester. The semester ran, and then you did a project at the end. This is what project-based learning isn't. It's project-oriented learning. It's kind of like the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference. Well, the opposite of project-based learning is project-oriented learning, not straight lecturing.